single day.
Get the whole thing.
Say hi, Andy. I'm recording you.
All right, you get the whole thing, right?
I got you.
Ocean City cops are not people.
Yes, they are. You know what's really criminal?
What's that?
Those knee-high socks.
I know, but that's what the brown shirts wore.
Internal Affairs Internal Investigation IA 2021-148 SGT Kristopher Mcrae number 2446. Investigator, Sergeant Nikki Wagner. Integrity, Professionalism, Trust. Summary. On December 5, 2021, the Charlotte County Sheriff's Office was called to assisted her and who was experiencing mental health crisis, emergency 911 who was acting erratic and searching for keys that were not present and digging holes in the ground with his fingers. Deputy Edwin Etienne, Deputy Carrie Welch and Sergeant Kristopher Mcrae responded. Emergency 911. Deputy Etienne, Deputy Welch, and Sergeant Mcrae attempted to talk to Emergenc, but he became more agitated and kept yelling at them and told them to leave his house. Sergeant Mcrae and Deputy Etienne took Emergent to the ground and put handcuffs on him while Deputy Welch held his legs while being escorted out of the house. Emergent kept dropping his weight, which led SGT Mcrae to use his taser and drive stun 6 times. Eventually stopped resisting and walked to the patrol car. Deputy Etienne, Deputy Welch, and Sergeant Mcrae completed a levels of resistance report. This is documented under CCSO case number 2112-002198. On December 7, 2021, Captain Darren Chandler was reviewing body-worn cameras for levels of resistance. While reviewing a body-worn camera footage for a mentally ill person, he saw Sergeant Kristopher Mcrae use his taser 6 times to drive stun a subject who was handcuffed while escorting him out of the house. Captain Chandler requested an internal review of the incident. On December 10, 2021, the Internal Affairs Unit was notified of the incident. Due to the totality of the circumstances, an internal affairs investigation was initiated. Sergeant Nikki Wagner was assigned to investigate the allegation. I spoke with Emergency 911 and set up a time for him and Emergency 911 to provide a statement and review the video on January 10, 2022. As of the date of this writing, they did not show up for the interview, nor did they return my phone calls. Notification of internal investigation. On December 10, 2021, Sergeant Kristopher Mcrae was notified he was being investigated by the Internal Affairs Unit. Sergeant Mcrae was advised the investigation would pertain to Charlotte County Sheriff's Office General Order 3.50H.4.D.21 excessive force or unnecessary force. Sergeant Mcrae was provided a confidentiality of internal investigations form, which he signed and understood. He was also provided with a copy of Florida Statute 112.532 and 112.533. Charlotte County Sheriff's Office General Order. I. Charlotte County Sheriff's Office Operations Manual General Order 3.50. GO 3.50H.4.D.21, excessive force or unnecessary force. Members of the office will use only that degree of force, which is necessary to perform official duties, and will not strike or use physical force on any person to the extent that injuries are inflicted except, when necessary, in self-defense, in the defense of another, to overcome actual physical resistance to arrest, or to prevent escape. Any use of force resulting in personal injury will be reported in accordance with established procedures. Investigation. For the scope of this investigation, documents were obtained and reviewed. First, there was a call for service on Emergency 911 in Port Charlotte to assist with a mentally ill person. Report stated, Emergency 911 told deputies her hours of sleep and was acting erratic. Emergency 911 had to Was looking for keys that were not there and started to dig holes outside with his hands in attempts to locate the keys. Emergen also punched holes in the wall. Emergency also believed her smoked marijuana and it had something laced in it. Deputy Etienne made contact with Emergen outside and attempted to talk to him. Emergency told Deputy Etienne he was looking for keys. Emergency then walked inside the house where DFC Welch attempted to talk to him. Emerge kept yelling and telling DFC Welch to leave. Emerge was sitting on a chair facing the wall playing loud music while DFC Welch and Deputy Etienne tried to talk to him. Emergency kept yelling for them to leave. Due to Emergency becoming more irate, Deputy Etienne requested Sergeant Mcrae to come inside the house. Deputy Etienne and DFC Welch told several times to calm down, which was abortive. Due to emergent behavior, he was told he Emerge was being Baker acted and placed into handcuffs. Deputy Etienne and Sergeant Mcrae attempted to get Emerge to stand up, but he continued to resist, and they continued to handcuff him. DFC Welch held Emerge 911 to the floor where they legs to prevent him from kicking. SGT Mcrae continued to tell Emerge to calm down or he was going to taser him. Emerge attempted to kick DFC Welch. Emergency was handcuffed and escorted to his feet while continuing to pull away and not listen to commands during the escort to the patrol vehicle. Sergeant Mcrae drive stunned Emerge 6 times. Once Emerge was outside, he stopped resisting and was put into the patrol vehicle. Emerge was transported to CSU. CSU wanted Emerge medically cleared due to being tossed. DFC John Smith, DFC Lawrence and Corporal Griffin were dispatched to CSU to assist Charlotte County Fire/EMS to transport Emerge to Shorepoint Hospital because he was refusing to follow direct orders. Was escorted onto the gurney, no physical force was used. Next, all the body-worn camera footage was reviewed. The BWC footage showed extremely agitated. He was sitting in a chair facing the wall, playing loud music, waving Emerge, Emergency, his arms, and signing. Deputy Etienne, DFC Welch, and Sergeant Mcrae attempted to de-escalate the situation as well as telling him they were there to help him. During this time, Sergeant Mcrae and Deputy Etienne grabbed Emergent hands to handcuff him and he actively resisted, forcing them to put him on the ground. Sergeant Mcrae continued to tell Emergency to calm down or he will be tossed. Once Emerge is handcuffed, Deputy Etienne helped him up while Emerge continued to yell and pull away. While walking through the house, Sergeant Mcrae used his taser to drive stun Emerge. After the first drive stun, Sergeant Mcrae asked 6 drive stuns. Once outside incident. Emerge. If he was done, and drive stunned him several times, totaling stopped resisting and was transported to CSU without General Order 11.19 use of force and General Order 11.41 taser were reviewed. Contact was made with CCSO Training Division Corporal Matthew Wagner, who had Sergeant Mcrae's taser downloaded. Corporal Wagner also provided me with Taser 7 training PowerPoint and Sergeant Mcrae's Taser 7 certification, which shows he attended the course on October 4, 2021 and completed and passed the written and practical assessments. Sworn recorded statements were obtained from Lieutenant Rocco Cassano, Sergeant Mcrae's supervisor, who were not on scene but reviewed the BWC. DFC Welch, and Deputy Etienne, who were working on scene with Sergeant Mcrae, and Corporal Wagner, who is the Taser 7 instructor. A sworn recorded statement was obtained from Sergeant Mcrae pertaining to his actions while on duty. The facts from the identified witnesses are detailed below. Witness interviews. LT Rocco Cassano. On December 27, 2021, I obtained a sworn recorded statement from Lieutenant Rocco Cassano. Lieutenant Cassano stated he became aware of Sergeant Mcrae's use of force after reviewing the report. Lieutenant Cassano stated he watched BWC footage and then spoke with Sergeant Mcrae. He told Sergeant Mcrae he could have verbalized better to get compliance. Lieutenant Cassano also stated he did not like when Sergeant Mcrae said, "Shut your mouth or I will tase you again." Lieutenant Cassano stated he addressed this with Sergeant Mcrae. Lieutenant Cassano stated Sergeant Mcrae said emergency was very strong and felt it was necessary to use his taser to stun him to get compliance. This is a brief summary of the interview with Lieutenant Rocco Cassano. Please refer to the statement for further information. DFC Kerry Welch on December 9, 2021, I obtained a sworn recorded statement from DFC Welch. DFC Welch stated she responded as backup for a Baker Act. She made contact with Emerge, who was in the house sitting in a chair playing loud music. Emerge continued to yell at her and told her to leave his house. DFC Welch stated it was obvious they would have to go hands-on, he appeared to be in a mental health crisis. Deputy Etienne requested Sergeant Mcrae to assist them in the house. DFC Welch stated Deputy Etienne and Sergeant Mcrae attempted to get Emergency out of the seat and took him to the ground. She is not sure what Emergency was doing because he was facing away from her. Once Emerge was on the ground, DFC Welch held his legs down so he would not kick and assisted Deputy Etienne in handcuffing Emerge. DFC Welch said Sergeant Mcrae kept telling Emergency to calm down or he was going to get tossed. Once Emerge was on his feet, he kept pulling away and SGT Mcrae told him to calm down or he will be tossed. DFC Welch was not sure what happened, but she heard the taser and saw Sergeant Mcrae stun Emergency several times. Once outside, calmed down and was transported to CSU. DCF Welch spoke with Emergency 911. Emerge. After they got him in the patrol vehicle and asked her if he had a medical condition because she noticed feet were inward, the Emergency 911 had medical psycholog. Emergen. DFC Welch did not take her taser out, nor did she feel it escalated to the point of using her taser to stun. This is a brief summary of the interview with DFC Kerry Welch. Please refer to the statement for further information. Deputy Edwin Etienne on December 9, 2021, I obtained a sworn statement from Deputy Etienne. Deputy Etienne was dispatched to a possible Baker Act. Upon his arrival he noticed Emergency outside near the wooded area. Emergency 911. Emerge told Deputy Etienne her Emergency was not acting normal. Punched holes in the wall and started to dig holes in the ground outside. Deputy Etienne walked over to Emergency and attempted to talk to him, but Emergency wanted to be left alone and walked back into the house. DFC Welch and Sergeant Mcrae arrive on scene. DFC Welch went inside and attempted to talk to Emerge while Deputy Etienne and Sergeant Mcrae talked to Emergency 911. Deputy Etienne went inside and attempted to talk to Emerge to no avail. Deputy Etienne then requested Sergeant Mcrae to come inside the house. While inside trying to talk to Emerge, he was yelling at the deputies and telling them to get out of his house. Sergeant Mcrae kept telling Emergency to calm down. Deputy Etienne followed Sergeant Mcrae and tried to get him. During this time Sergeant Mcrae kept telling Emerge to stand up, to handcuff, to stop resisting, and took him to the ground. Emergency continued to resist while being handcuffed. Sergeant Mcrae told Emergency to calm down or he would be tossed. Deputy Etienne told Sergeant Mcrae, "We are good here, we don't need the taser." Once Deputy Etienne stood emergency up, he continued to resist by dropping his weight. When Deputy Etienne and SGT Mcrae were walking emergency through the door, he heard the taser go off. Deputy Etienne heard several more drive stuns while walking emerge to the patrol vehicle. Once outside, Deputy Etienne said emerge stopped resisting and walked to the patrol vehicle under his own power. Deputy Etienne transported emerge to CSU. Deputy Etienne stated he did not feel it was necessary to pull his taser out and was surprised when he heard the taser go off. This is a summary of the interview with Deputy Edwin Etienne. Please refer to the statement for further information. Sergeant Kristopher Mcrae's statement to Internal Affairs. On December 17, 2021, I obtained a sworn recorded statement from Sergeant Kristopher Mcrae. SGT Mcrae stated when he arrived on scene, DFC Welch went in the house with Emergency 911. Talked to emerge while he and Deputy Etienne talked to Emergency 911 while talking to Emergency 2. Emergenc. Sergeant Mcrae told Deputy Etienne to go in the house with DFC Welch. Sergeant Mcrae stated, Emergency 911. Emergency. Told him Emergency had not been acting normal since Friday. He got into a fight with. Started digging holes in the ground with his fingers and was doing drugs. A short time later, Deputy Etienne radioed Sergeant Mcrae to come inside. Once inside the residence, SGT Mcrae saw emerge sitting in a chair facing the wall playing hype/fight music. Deputy Etienne was standing outside the room, which alarmed Sergeant Mcrae because he did not know if Emergency had a knife or any weapons on him. Sergeant Mcrae said he heard say, "Get the fuck out of my Emergen house, I have the Fifth Amendment right." Then Sergeant Mcrae and Deputy Etienne went to put Emergency into protective custody. While trying to put handcuffs on Emerge, he pulled away. Sergeant Mcrae and Deputy Etienne were struggling with Emerge, so they took him to the ground to gain more control over him. Once Emergen was on the ground, Deputy Etienne and Deputy Welch put handcuffs on him. Sergeant Mcrae stated while Emerge was being handcuffed, he was resisting and yelling. SGT Mcrae told Emergency to calm down several times and told him if he doesn't calm down, he was going to tase him. Deputy Etienne told Sergeant Mcrae he had it. Once Emergen was on his feet, he kept dropping his weight and not walking. Sergeant Mcrae arced his taser and drive stunned. Emergen continued to drop his weight and was tossed a total of 6 times. The last time Emergency was tossed, he said, "Okay, I'm done," and started to walk to the car. Sergeant Mcrae stated after reviewing the BWC he realized he should have been clearer on his commands, and they should have carried Emerge out of the house. Sergeant Mcrae stated Emergency was very strong, and he was trying to get him under control without anyone getting hurt. He also stated he did not know Emerge had medical psychology until after he was transported to CSU. Sergeant Mcrae stated that not until reviewing the BWC did he realize he used unnecessary force. Sergeant Mcrae also stated this is good training on what not to do and wished it wasn't him who made the mistake. Sergeant Mcrae said he will be training his subordinates on his mistake. This is a summary of the interview with Sergeant Kristopher Mcrae. Please refer to the statement for further information. Conclusion. During this investigation, I reviewed all documents I received and researched regarding the chain of events, and all the details involved provided by the witnesses, as well as Sergeant Mcrae's statement. I obtained and reviewed the supporting information along with Charlotte County Sheriff's Office General Order 3.50H.4.D.21, excessive force or unnecessary use of force. Based on the information gathered, along with Sergeant Kristopher Mcrae's statement, this investigator finds there is a preponderance of evidence to indicate Kristopher Mcrae did violate Charlotte County Sheriff's Office Manual GO 3.50H.4.D.21, violation of excessive force or unnecessary force, and the charge is sustained. Sergeant Mcrae used more force than necessary to perform official duties. I, the undersigned, do hereby swear, under penalty of perjury, to the best of my knowledge, information, and belief, I have not knowingly or willfully deprived, or allowed another to deprive, the subject of the investigation of any rights contained in SS 112.532 and 112.533, Florida Statutes. /S/Sergeant N. Wagner #0780 Sergeant Nikki Wagner #0780 Charlotte County Sheriff's Office. Sheriff Bill Prummell 7474, Utilities Road, Punta Gorda, Florida, 3398291, 639-2101. Charlotte County Sheriff IN 8 IFAS Integrity, Professionalism, Trust. March 2, 2022. 2. Sergeant Chris Mcrae from, Sheriff Bill Prummell Re, Notice of Discipline on February 11, 2022. A notice of intent to discipline was issued to you regarding IA #2021-148 and violations of the Charlotte County Sheriff's Office policies and procedures. GO 3.50.H.4.D.21 Excessive force or unnecessary force. Members of the office will use only that degree of force, which is necessary to perform official duties, and will not strike or use physical force on any person to the extent that injuries are inflicted except when necessary in self-defense, in the defense of another, to overcome actual physical resistance to arrest, or to prevent escape. Any use of force resulting in personal injury will be reported in accordance with established procedures. Upon review of your pre-disciplinary hearing on February 24, 2022, you are hereby notified that effective immediately, you will receive the following discipline. Be placed on 172-hour suspension without pay, to be scheduled by your supervisor pending staffing. Not eligible to use leave in lieu of suspension hours. Must be completed before the end of the probationary period, 1-year disciplinary probation, remedial training in use of force, taser use, and policy, recognizing mental health, and de-escalation to be completed within 60 days of final notice of discipline, manager's referral to EAP, to be coordinated through risk management. This memorandum and supporting documents will become a permanent part of your personnel file. 3 LUQJ Bill Prummell, Sheriff. I have read and understand the contents of this letter. I have received an original duplicate of this letter. Served. Z. Date. This 3 day of M at